Good Lordy.
Oh,
There we go.
we're live. Okay. Whoa. I think we were just hanging on to the last seconds of 6:55. Going live today. We were just giving instructions to our amazing list of readers tonight. It's going to be an amazing evening of readings. And of course, happy spring to everyone out there. We are so excited to have you and to be together for a wonderful reading this evening.
I'm excited for spring. Things are starting to grow in the garden.
They sure are.
Pretty soon I'll be out there pulling weeds. But that's the way it is. That's life. That's life.
That is life. Chris, what do you grow in your garden? Flowers? You grow any vegetables?
Oh yeah, all kind of. We have too many critters around here, but I mean, we have a few vegetables in one little tiny space. Zucchini and things like that, but it's mostly all kinds of crazy flowers and things.
Very nice. How lovely. My mom, shout out to mom, loves gardening, loves planting flowers. And she does that in the backyard. And also she'll put all different kinds of potted flowers on our deck. And it was so funny. Like 1 or 2 weeks ago, she said, I'm just going to put a few this year. And we all responded to her, lies, because she covers the deck in flowers and it's the most beautiful thing. And you kind of feel like you're in this little garden, like when you go out onto this, lovely porch, that small little porch filled with flowers in the springtime. It's so sweet. So shout out to mom for that. But Chris, I got to know what you're drinking tonight.
Well, let's see here. This is our Nod Hill Mood for a Day.
Hell yes. I also have mood for a day because yesterday we were at Nod Hill, right, Chris?
Oh,
sorry. Mid-sip. It's a good one, right? It's bitter. It's hoppy.
It is hoppy.
Yeah.
It makes me happy.
It makes me happy.
We were over at Nod Hill for happy hour yesterday and met our good friend Brenda Sorrells, who's on the show tonight, and yeah, it was delightful.
It was so delightful. And we really hope more of our friends, fans, fellow writers and readers can come out and join us next time. We had a wonderful time and we're looking forward to doing this on a monthly basis or even more. Let us know if you have any awesome events coming up. We'll post it on our social media pages, on our Fumfa Live social pages. So make sure to check us out there and to jump in on these events. We would just love to see everyone and hang out in person now that we can safely, and hopefully it'll stay that way. Hopefully it'll stay.
Please.
Yes. And also on Thursday, we had the awesome opportunity to go over to the Norwalk Art Space and get to see Michelle Lee, Fumfa alum student Michelle Lee, perform some comedy at the opening of the current exhibit over there. It was awesome. And I was there with Fumfa alum all-star Meg Muldowney, who's also reading tonight. It's been a really special Fumfa week, Chris. Awesome.
It sure has. Geez, now it's hopefully it's a sign of things to come, and there will be more of that for those who are local and able to do it. And fantastic. But of course, we'll always be here on Sunday.
Yes. That's absolutely right. We will be here online, accessible to everyone everywhere with an internet connection. And yes. And we know we have people kind of like in the vicinity as well. We need to ask Phil Lemos, who is reading later, just how far away he is. I know he's up in Massachusetts somewhere. We gotta get Phil down here. Yes, Phil, we see you in the chat.
Hey, look at the time.
Oh, well, we need to give our official welcome. I'm so sorry. Welcome, everyone, to Fumfa 88. This is our spring open mic night, and we are extremely excited to have 9 amazing readers for you tonight. And who are as follows: Bob Howe, Alexis Garcia, Derek Ivan Webster, Meg Moore, Renee Newberry, Brenda Sorrells, Megan Muldowney, Matt Garland, and Phil Lemos. What an awesome list of people. We hope that you're going to stay for the whole time. It's going to be amazing, a beautiful medley of writing and readings, and just sharing great time with these awesome people. It's gonna be awesome, Chris.
It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be just one great reader after another, and
Yes.
the Fumfa 9.
Yeah.
So, and then next week.
And then next week, Chris, tell us what we got coming up.
Well, next week is pretty amazing and special because it is our 2nd anniversary.
Can you believe it?
So we have been doing this thing 2 years as of next week.
Almost every week for 2 years.
It will be our 89th reading, and we have some special guests lined up.
Woo!
Our Fumfa friends, Elena Dillon, who's got yet another new book coming out soon.
Amazing.
Victoria Buitron, who has a new book coming out. We got Devin Bohm, who has recently had a book come out. The great Baron Wormser. I don't know, his book's coming out at some point. And then we've got Mr. Paul Latour. We've got our friends Chance and Midnight ringing in the 2-year mark for Fumfa Poets and Writers Live. Unbelievable.
How special and how totally wonderful. And Chris and I do this joyfully, and we started out with it hoping that we'd be able to support each other and celebrate each other's books during a really hard and isolating time. And you guys out there with participating in readings, jumping in the chat, introducing us to new friends, being our audience has meant so much to us. So as much as you guys have all enjoyed these shows and have supported us, your support and attention and kindness and participation has meant so much to us as well. So we love you guys. And we're so excited to celebrate next week.
Yes, we are. So, join us and tell your friends, and
tune in.
And pour a glass of bubbly or whatever it is you care to celebrate with next week, and we'll be here.
We certainly will. Well, Chris, it's time for us to get started with our spring open mic night readings, and our first reader is Bob Howe, and let's bring him up right now. Welcome, Bob.
There he is.
Hi.
We're so happy to have you on. First time on the show, Bob. We're so excited.
Yes,
it is.
It is.
What took so long? That's crazy.
I know. All right, Bob, I'm going to share your bio with everyone. Robert J. Howe writes to us, my poetry has appeared in the Tampa Review, the California Quarterly, 50 Haiku, Punch Drunk Press, Serving House Journal, the Lock Raven Review, Main Street Rag, and a few other publications. He's published short fiction in Salon.com, the magazine's Analog, the Flatbush Review, Electric Velocipede, Blackgate, Intergalactic Medicine Show, Pandora, Pulp House, Tales of the Unanticipated, Weird Tales, the Russian science fiction magazines Esli, and the anthologies Newer York and Happily Ever After, among other publications. We're excited to hear you, Bob.
Thank you very much, everybody. I will dive right into it. The first poem is called Ghost Ship. Mary Celeste, soul in need of a captain, drinks White Claw in a dry bathtub, wearing a life jacket over her cocktail dress. When the oxygen masks drop, she will don hers first. Lovers may spend the night, but no one is allowed to leave. A toothbrush in her bathroom has been standing in a water glass since the blizzard of 1996. Her days are elastic between 10 a.m. and dinner. Bodega flowers make evening fall like an axe on the neck of fire escape shadows. The landlord cries when Mary Celeste will not allow the exterminator in. She feeds the mice croissant crumbs in the small hours of the morning. The tread of the delivery man climbing 3 flights up sounds like footsteps on a gallows. She can taste the pleasantly acrid smell of vindaloo through the door. There is a pizza slice of East River visible between the taller, more self-possessed buildings. She sometimes wishes for an earthquake to shake the equanimity of brightly colored yoga mats. True fact, traffic noise is louder on the 4th floor. The tractor-trailers from Ohio and Pennsylvania idle on First Avenue. Trucker caps waiting for the sun to illuminate supermarket windows. Mary Celeste remembers. The West Village shop where she bought a Rothko reproduction is now an urgent care with a green neon cross in the window. There are bite marks on the arm of a wooden chair. She doesn't know how they got there, but sometimes she hears a leopard roar in the night. Across the river, stars come out over Astoria. She can see a fold in the terry cloth sky. For a moment, the universe is quiet. This next one is untitled. In the garden, at the bottom of a stair, I hold a leaf in my palm. Its veins denote a certain denomination of currency for which there is no name. One geriatric elm leans against the brick wall. In the dead of night, there is no birdsong, only the scrabbling of basilisk claws on gray bark. The wind smells of moonlight and rain. 2 dark-haired women smoke and talk about me in low tones. They are mother and daughter. Their heads block the stars. I feel the ground shudder beneath my bare feet. This is life in the subduction zone. I don't know that I'm at a party until someone far away pops a bottle of sparkling wine. The cork achieves escape velocity. The faster you go, the longer you're gone. In the gloom, I can see people's voices, ropey and clogged with regret. I look for a priest, a rabbi, a minister. There is a woman dressed as a rodeo clown, and she is happy, despite the sad face paint. She distracts the minotaur long enough for me to slip away for another cup of coffee. Black, unsweetened, penance. A man with a long face passes hors d'oeuvres on a chrome hubcap. He wears a British Navy uniform of World War II and seems to know my name. The broiled oysters are on the salty side. I wander under the eaves of fir trees, exhaling resinous breath into the cool night. The understory is a carnival of fairy lights. Time eddies around the sturdy brown trunks, and I can feel a heartbeat when I press my palm against the tamarac's rough bark. Charles Darwin passes in the distance, recognizable by his oversized head. He is composing a letter to Harriet Tubman, but I am too far away to make out the words. An inconstant breeze shakes the branches. The green rustle of pine needles makes me feel less alone. I come to a clearing on the edge of a great pond. The Milky Way is reflected in its surface. The spoor of mating plesiosaurs is thick along the bank, the scent of cheese aged on beds of straw. Mystery, life, tastes like a copper penny under the tongue. And then this one is called, make it a little bigger, is called With Shackleton. At dusk, we can hear the ice groaning as it beds down against the swell of the land. The sun tipped over the horizon and left us stiff with night. The tent rattles against the Katabatic, freight train roaring down off the glacier. Inside our sleeping bags, there's no way to touch. The dark flowing through the canvas and into our heads. We could die here, we think. We could certainly die here. This is the opposite of the happiest place on earth. Ruthlessly real and unforgiving, it is a land of bleeding spectacle and ice crackling off stubble chins. The strongest smells are from our own bodies. Working hard to stay warm is to stay alive. Mars is more hospitable, though less beautiful. We drink melted snow and the bluest white landscape between a sky gray as prison uniform. Sleep comes slowly, In this place, the body resists, confusing it with death. And then one more very short one. And that is, here we go. This is 3 views of a Martian sunset. Old man, you haven't lost your memories. That part of you lives in the spirit world now. The snow only falls at night on Mars. The astronaut can't retrace his steps. To be whole, you must travel in places where you are everywhere at once. That's it. Thank you.
Woo! Beautiful! What awesome imagery, Bob. Oh, we were everywhere and seeing everything. So poignant, so crisp. Chris,
Yeah.
really fabulous.
Bob, you probably read they found Shackleton's boat.
Yes, the Endurance. It was day after I wrote that poem.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
The universe and I were on the same wavelength.
There you go.
You clearly were. That is so awesome, Bob. That is so awesome. Anyways, Bob Howe, excellent reading. Thank you so much for sharing with us. And you will have to take a look at the chat, particularly in Facebook, and see all of the comments and love that you've received. We hope to have you back soon, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you. What an awesome start to the evening, Chris.
Perfect.
An awesome, perfect start. Well, we need to welcome up Alexis. Oops, let me get our banner here. Oh, Chris, do we have dueling banners again?
I didn't do anything. Oh my God.
All right.
There's a gremlin in the system. It wasn't me.
Oh no. we need to welcome up Alexis Garcia. Welcome, Alexis.
Hello.
Hey, we're so excited to have you with us, Alexis. This is your first time reading with us as well, so welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, our pleasure. Chris, would you do the honors of reading Alexis's bio?
I will. Alexis G Garcia is a queer Hispanic writer who's joining us from East Harlem, New York. She graduated from Manhattanville College in 2017, where she studied creative writing and criminal law, which I think should be an option at Fairfield University MFA program. I think those two are a nice combination. Currently, she works as a paralegal at a personal injury law firm in Midtown Manhattan. A few of her poems have been published in the anthologies United, Volume Red, and United, Volume Honey, with Beautiful Minds Unite, LLC, and Upon Arrival, Threshold with Eber and Wine Publishing. She has had more of her poems accepted for publication in Ariel Chart, Third Estate Art, Doors Ajar, Mixed Bag, Air, Light, along with other literary magazines. Currently, she performs her poetry with the Nuyorican Poet Cafe, Barbed Wire Open Mic Series, Nomadic Press, Queen's Poetic Alchemy Collective, and other virtual open mics. She hopes to publish a collection of her poetry in the very near future, and we hope so too. Everybody welcome Alexis.
Thank you for having me. Okay, so I have a couple pieces tonight. The first one is called Hellish. I have been my own devil, throwing myself onto the fire, to see how much I burn, to relish in it, learning to adjust to welcoming the added heat, tricking myself into believing I deserve to be wrapped in comforting arms instead of flames. Hell seems like home to me, and my demons are just those nosy neighbors who keep showing up unannounced, overstaying their welcome, and leaving my home in disarray. Or maybe it was already that way. I have no one to blame but myself when I keep leaving the door unlocked. A troubled soul treading through life on troubled souls. I told my therapist that I must enjoy torturing myself, and she questioned if that was really true. Well, hell is only supposed to be a pit stop, but that's difficult when your brain has already drawn up floor plans for a longer stay. My next piece is called Sincerely Vexed. I've had fond memories of locking lips with age-appropriate girls. Just me and them. If we didn't know much then, we knew kissing felt serene, wore caution tape between our legs and warning signs over our hearts. We grasped hands tightly, mapped our futures over love lines, knew the best kept secrets left the longest aftertaste. Longer, the older we'd gotten. Words were never enough to describe the feeling of falling into each other's embrace, legs interlocked under covers, tender touches from eager fingertips that traced stories along our bodies. Until we heard footsteps, and we were back to laughing it off. We never knew what to make of it, but enjoyed basking in the warmth. This is for the girls who clung to their innocence for as long as they could, for the girls who practiced love on their friends, for the girls who tucked away those memories because it no longer suited them. But we'll always have those kisses, that bed, and those covers. And my next piece is called Healing. That fine line between moving forward and relapsing, fitting your pieces together and collapsing, continuous strides to escape the existential dread, or wrapping yourself in it. You stumble when you walk a straight line, but it's okay since healing is never linear. It's messy and it's selfish, and you will find yourself feeling helpless, but you are no victim, so you ignore the obvious signs. We need to treat the healing of our mind as we do the healing of our body, and we pick and pick at intangible wounds. The more we ponder over what cuts us deep, we wait until our limbs are limp, our shoulders are sunken, our hearts are hardened, our wounds have widened, and even then you won't take a break just yet. You decide that this weekend you will take a day to rest, to wind down, but your body decides the time is now. When you've got multiple projects piling up and deadlines to make, you've been so bent out of shape, it's no wonder your body finally decided to break down. So listen when I tell you to take care of your mind before it takes care of you. Thank you.
Woo! Alexis! Powerful, poignant, visceral, and gorgeous. Just gorgeous. Alexis, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And what a pleasure to have you on here for the first time. We hope it won't be the last. We hope we'll have you back
Yeah.
very, very soon.
But we would love to have you back. And I'm really so curious about this combination of creative writing and criminal law, as you could tell. I think that's just so interesting.
Well, and Chris, tell them one very big reason why.
One very big reason. Well,
Well, you have a book, and
well, yes. Well, I've worked with people in the prison system, teaching writing. But even besides that, I just think it's such a great combination of.
It is a great combination. It absolutely is fascinating and wonderful. That is so great, Alexis. Thank you so much, and we'll be in touch. And make sure that you hop into the chat and Facebook and see all of the love that you have received.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Alexis. All right. Awesome readings, Chris. I think that is so great. So great. And moving on forward, we've got 9 amazing readers tonight, 9 amazing guests already blowing our minds here, and sharing their pieces with us. And up next, we have Derek Ivan Webster. Welcome, Derek.
Hey, how's it going?
Very, very good. How are you?
Pretty good. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes. We were just saying we love the green curtain.
Hold over St. Patty's Day. Had to do it.
Yay! Happy belated St. Patty's Day.
Yes.
All right. Well, I will share your bio with our audience. Here we go. Derek Ivan Webster, raised in a tiny Alaskan fishing village, educated at Yale University, Derek Ivan Webster is a writer that appreciates a good contrast. When not shepherding students seeking creative careers at Yale, Derek is happily enrolled in the MFA in Creative Writing program at Fairfield University. Woo!
Surprise.
Surprise. He is well aware that it is only his wife and their precious, precocious co-conspirators keeping him sane. And you can check out his website at ivanhope.com/writing. That is so sweet, Derek. And we're so excited to hear you. Take it away.
Great. I'll be reading just a short chapter excerpt from my novel in progress. I think the only thing you need to know about a 40-something commercial fisherman escaping back up to Alaska and bringing his teenage daughter with him, and it doesn't work out the way he'd planned. This perspective is split between the father and the daughter. Father's chapters always open up with a imagined biology textbook excerpt. So that's where we'll start. The father, one last endurance. It has survived an epic sea journey, and while meticulously searching its way home, escaped the impressive system of seine, drift, and set nets put into the way by man. Now a sleekly muscled saltwater creature, the fish catches the slightest whiff, the distant memory of its hatching. Having refused the 100 false leads that came before, it finally commits to a river system, to a final freshwater ordeal, and quietly seals its fate. The poisoning is a slow process, and its effects stretch over the weeks it will take the fish to leap and launch its way up the narrowing stream waters that lead back to the spawning ground. As the fish burns through the last of its energy reserves, fighting rapids, rocks, bear claws, and teeth, its body begins to transform again. Its face turns a sickly green, the nose elongates to a beak and thins to reveal its own fangs. Its dorsum hunches into a prominent hump, and the body turns the bright red of its namesake. It is devolving now, the flesh infected, dying, and beginning to rot from the inside. After a blinding series of challenges faced and miraculously overcome, a relative peace of clear and placid water is attained. All that remains is the singular, simple purpose of releasing the reproductive cloud that has dominated every fathom of its existence. The violent mixture of egg and sperm, the bearing of those promises into gravelly beds, is less an accomplishment than one last endurance. With nothing left, its body empty and its skull as soft as a sponge, the monstrous cadaver is too well adapted for survival to die easily. Instead, it floats, purposeless, untethered, alone. Thus will it fulfill one final, essential purpose, a lingering grand irony to complete the cycle of the salmon. Melvin Munson, A Sockeye Story, The Biology and Life Cycle of Oncorhynchus nerca. This is what he feels. Pressure under his arms as something pulls and tugs at his body, moving him, if only an inch at a time. The cold smack of earthy wetness against his face and neck, sometimes splattered, sometimes the gravity of the world grabbing him from below. A throbbing in his hands and feet as if a fire is caught between his skin and his bone, consuming him from within. The remembered pressure of teeth pushed into the scalp at the back of his head, and a hulking darkness sucking at his face. The weight of shadow in his mind as he tries and fails and tries again to recall where he is and what has happened. This is what he smells. The stain of blood and offal smeared in tracks across his face and laced into his hair. The corruption of mud, its ancient seal broken, reeking with a barrel-burned blackness. The metal tang of an overcast sky pressing down from above with a cool wind in the memory of a receding storm. The salt cut of insatiable water churned into a mist that covers everything else like the blowback from the falls at the end of the navigable earth. This is what he hears. The wincing grunt that pulls at him, moving him, one pained heave at a time, the press of air across the flatness shared by step and mud and sea, humming a tune as it moves the grass, sucks the mud dry, and joins with the pull of the tide. The even, ever-advancing, never-changing wash of the surf, crash upon crash, reshaping the world in tiny swirling increment. The irregular push of blood through his limbs as his heart strains to normalize, to bring him back from the quivering certainty of the abyss. This is what he sees. The streak of clouds above, white on gray on doom. The wall of wood, upright, rotting totems. From this distance reduced to sticks a child might have pressed into the soft earth. The smooth expanse of a ground shaped by the flow of 1,000 waves landing, reaching, then pulling back to the source. The disruption of that smoothness and the damaged pattern that surrounds him, the line of slop and stumble that stretches behind, the splatter of ejecta all around, the layer of mud that has encased him, saturated him with its wetness and crusted him at the edges. The mottled black of the figure that drags at him, a creature that's been feathered and then tarred. Her wings are clipped, and she strains and stumbles, carrying him back to her nest. This is what he knows. He has survived a thing, at least most of him has. But the trial does not yet seem ended. The dead have whispered to him, a father and a friend. They have scoffed at him in his assumption that he came prepared to greet them. His daughter was there when it mattered most. She was the one that showed the strength. Now he must trust her, follow her direction as she leads them home. Later, he will recall being lifted, half standing, half shoved, up and over the familiar curve of a gunwale, the kiss of canvas and aluminum against his face, the purr of an outboard engine, the hint of civilization, the water taking on that depth, its smell only complete when it has surrounded you on all sides. Rolling to his back to watch the current of the sky pass above, a match for the waves that skim beneath. Glancing down and seeing her standing there covered in mire, one hand on the wheel, the other pressed against the tow bar, her eyes half closed against the wind. The mud cracked open at her mouth, the sculptor's cast fallen away to reveal the marble smile beneath. That is when he knew. Come what may to him, his daughter would be all right. That's it.
Intense! Woo! Derek, so awesome to hear you. And this, what a pleasure to get to meet you virtually and to hear your pieces. You've been so supportive of us for such a long time.
Big fan of you guys.
Yeah, we love you too. And what visceral, intense imagery going on there.
Visceral is so true, and we definitely have to have. Well, of course we have everybody.
We need to have everybody back on here.
Many people on before, but to get deeper into this story and also to talk about Alaska and I mean such a great evocation of that.
Totally.
And then from Alaska to Yale, that's an interesting story right there too. So we need
a writer that likes a good contrast, right?
We love it. We love it. We love it. We're going to need to have you back as well, Derek, and have you on for more time and get an opportunity for a little Q&A as well.
Thank you.
So hopefully this will be the first of many more. Thank you so much, Derek.
Ciao.
Awesome. So awesome. And we are still in our first half, folks. 3 amazing readings, 3 amazing writers already. And we are very excited to welcome next Meg Moore. Welcome back, Meg. So great to see you. I'm going to make sure that your image is ready.
Okay, you do that. I'll read.
Hi, Katie and Chris. It's always nice to be back on here.
We love having you, Meg.
It is our pleasure, and I'm gonna read your bio, Meg. Meg Moore is a 2020 magna cum laude graduate of Fairfield University with a Bachelor of Arts degree in English/creative writing. She is currently an MFA candidate with a dual concentration in nonfiction and poetry. Where else? At Fairfield's Master of Fine Arts program, and we'll be graduating in July. And as far as we know, on the island. This year, Meg holds a graduate assistantship through Fairfield University. She interns as an editor at Woodhall Press, our favorite press, and serves as managing editor of Dogwood, a journal of poetry and prose. She also works as an ambassador for PRC Saltillo. Her writing has appeared in Two Drops of Ink, the literary blog, Brevity's nonfiction blog, Kairos, a journal of rhetoric, technology, pedagogy, independent Catholic news, positive writer, and How We Are, among many other publications. Everybody, welcome Meg Moore back to the show.
And Meg, I know it's your second piece, and just give me a little cue if I forget that image.
Thank you. Since it's the first day of spring, I'm reading some work that pertains to seasons and seasons change. Those of you who also live in New England know that, though the calendar says it's the beginning of spring, the weather usually goes through a transition period in which it's nice and warm and balmy one day and cold and snowy the next. So the first piece I'll read is about the snow. About a week ago, I attended and presented at the virtual conference on college composition and communication, and one of the sessions I attended was the conference organization's creative writing standing group meeting. We did a free write at the meeting. The prompt was to take two unrelated ideas or objects and put them together in one piece. So I did snow in the color purple, and this is the flash prose piece that I came up with. At twilight, just before night captivates the sky, the snow turns purple. It reflects what it sees above, mirroring what has come of the day. The hue matches the mountains, completing a lavender landscape. Perhaps, too, they are alike in complexity. If skies have limitless height, and if mountains offer courses of infinite adventure in which to hike, what might purple snow offer us? If it absorbs the color of the limitless sky in the mountain ranges, perhaps the snow reflects the nature of life, infinite in opportunity and bountiful in hue. And the second piece I'll read is a poem that centers on the emergence of spring in response to a work of art. I was invited by fellow MFA alum and my colleague at Woodhull Press, Chris Madden, to write a poem about a painting in the Black Rock Art Guild art show. My poem will be displayed with Donna Osterby Bryan's beautiful painting in the Fairfield University downtown bookstore, as well as online from April 4th to May 1st. This is my poem entitled In Bloom, Awakening the Masterpiece. Spring awakens, captivating the earth, transforming it from its sleepy white blanket into a landscape magnificent in sight, in sense. Up from the weathered old ground bursts with life anew, blossoms exquisite in shape and dazzling in hue, pink lilies with their petals, long and wide, fuchsia at the heart, and white tapering the edges, framed around a brilliant, sun-colored center, poppies, scarlet rings, round midnight black cores, lavender. The petals royal in their color as they line their chartreuse stems and stand tall among blades of grass, a variety of blooms innumerable beyond what can be named. Spring awakens, and earth not only serves as the perfect muse, but as a masterpiece itself. And my final piece is a poem that I'm developing as part of my thesis. It is an imitation of Mary Oliver's poem The Summer Day, and it's called With My One Wild and Precious Life. Who created the world? Who designed the flowers and the butterfly? The butterfly, the one with the wings luminous in color and intricate in pattern, like a stained glass window, each section, lavender in color, elliptical in shape, framed in fine point black lines as thick black bands taper around the wings' contours, the one clothed in elegance as she traipses from blossom to blossom, delivering her sweet, nourishing nectar. Now she beats her majestic wings against a periwinkle sky and turns the heads of all she flies above. Now she perches on a blossom's center and poses as a work of art. I don't know exactly what grace is, but I do know how to admire the magnificent world, how to detect life's little glories, how to savor blessings and peace, how to love widely and deeply, which is what my focus has been all day. What else should I have been doing? Isn't life temporary and far too brief? Don't I get but one go of it? Yes, this is exactly what I plan to do with my one wild and precious life. Thank you.
Whoa! Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Meg brought the springtime, didn't she? And the hope and just the empowerment and just the beautiful scenes.
I know. I'm thinking wild and precious life. That's gonna. I don't know. I feel if I was gonna get a tattoo, that would be it.
Hell yeah, Chris. And that would be a good one. Meg,
I'm
those were
afraid to
absolutely
do that,
gorgeous.
but that would be my tattoo. There's a lot of words too, so maybe it would just be a flower. But you know,
Chris, I think no, I think you should do it up, Chris. I think you should have a full back tattoo of it.
all right.
Meg, those were absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous poems, and you really brought the springtime. And I feel just so uplifted and inspired by your gorgeous pieces in just the space of a few minutes. You have to hop on Facebook and see all of the love that you're getting. Always a pleasure to have you, Meg.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
sunflowers behind her there, I think. So.
Yeah, I think so. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Meg. We look forward to having you back again soon. Awesome. Chris, didn't that just beautiful? And what a beautiful painting as well for that second piece.
I know. Meg always knocks me out.
Always, every single one. And there's just a fabulous story behind each piece as well. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Well, everyone, can you believe after all of that amazingness, we have several more amazing writers. I just get too excited on open mic nights because we have we have just back to back so many amazing people. And so many friends and so many new friends. So we are it's a real treat. It's a real treat. Anyways, we are excited to welcome also for the first time Renee Newberry. Welcome, Renee.
Yay. How are
Renee,
you?
how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Fabulous. Doing
Great.
very well. Really enjoying everything this evening, and we are excited to hear you. I will go ahead and read your bio for our audience. Oh, I need to scroll. I'm scrolling. Renee Newberry is in her final semester. Congratulations. In Fairfield University's MFA in Creative Writing, and is currently working on a multiple narrator dystopian novel. Ooh. Born and raised in Maryland, she has a Bachelor of Arts in English from Washington College in Chesterton. She teaches English at Mercy High School in Baltimore and has previously written for newspapers in both Maryland and Pennsylvania, both full-time and freelance. In addition to writing both fiction and poetry, Renee has read for both Brevity and Causeway Lit. Woo! In the past, she has danced professionally with companies in the Baltimore area and now teaches dance to adults at the Community College of Baltimore County. Oh, I want to go. Renee is happily married to Adam, with whom she shares 4 beautiful children. Excited to hear you tonight, Renee.
Thank you. So I am going to read a very short piece of fiction, which I am still deciding on the title of, but I think it's called Flickers. We'll see. So, if you have any ideas, if anybody has any ideas for a title to this, be sure to let me know. And a couple of poems. So this is the short piece of fiction. Lucy knew it was her last day, even before anyone else. It was her 98th year, and she'd had dreams in her younger days of making it to 100, but she was so tired now. In her lucid moments, she'd heard her 30-year-old granddaughter, Lisette, telling the home nurse how Lucy sometimes swatted at things that weren't there, and at other times thought Lisette was her daughter Mara, Lisette's mother, who had died years earlier. Lucy found herself amused by all of this, hearing these strange tales of herself as not herself. Lisette was here today, and today Lucy knew she was Lisette, not Mara, though she contended that all daughters turned into their mothers eventually. Lissy, she said in her now faint, raspy voice, Lissy, I know it's a bother, but I wonder if you could retrieve something for me. Sure, Grandma, what is it? Your grandfather, years ago, many, many years ago, when we were first married, bought me a beautiful green robe. Oh, how it billowed when I walked in the breeze, out in the garden. She closed her eyes and smiled at her daydream. She opened them to see Lisette, her red hair hanging loose over her shoulders, looking patiently on. Mara had once looked at Lisette that way. Lucy had once looked at Mara that way. Everything was circular, wasn't it? Could you get that robe for me? It should be in the brass-trimmed cedar trunk in the front of the attic. Grandma, I cannot comprehend how your memory works these days. Lucy lifted a shaky, wrinkled finger to point to her head, hair white and wiry. She remembered, as though it were yesterday, Charlie giving her that luxurious robe he'd saved all his pennies for. It had fine embroidery around the ends of the sleeves and was made of a soft, silky material, smooth when she ran her fingers over it. It was a lovely seafoam green, and Charlie would have had her believe it had been fashioned by Aphrodite herself from the froth around her feet at birth. She longed to see Charlie again. Well, she had just seen him the other day. He was light as a spring breeze, his form shifty, wavering in and out of focus, like the tulips in the garden out front. She had never been able to get anything more than blurry photos of. Her photography dreams had died quickly. Charlie, stop disappearing like that, Lucy had said to him the other day when he'd come to visit her, the home nurse giving her concerned looks. It's been so long. Did you see the tulips I left you? You always said the real ones were better than pictures. Charlie had said nothing, just smiled and flickered. Lucy had caught the faint scent of pipe tobacco when his image wafted past her. Thinking of this, she said to Lisette, when she returned with the robe, I saw your grandfather the other day. Oh, Grandma, Lisette said, a smile on her lips Lucy knew belied her true emotion. Everyone was so sad for Lucy these days, as though living nearly 10 decades were not enough. She'd seen plenty and lived through it all, really lived. Hadn't she danced all those years ago in halls with Charlie after the war, throwing back her first stinging shot of whiskey, hot all the way down like coals in sunshine, and how she imagined it would feel if God himself touched her? That's what life was like, stingingly joyful and mad and lit up in more ways than one. And now she was tired, and that was life too. Lisette draped Lucy's shoulders with the robe, Lucy sliding her frail arms through the wide sleeves. The robe hung heavier than it once did, when she was young with supple skin and rosy cheeks and blazing red hair. The granddaughter helped the grandmother with the buttons, slipping them through the little loops. Today is my last day, Lissy. What, Grandma? Lisette said. Don't you talk like that. Lucy smiled. She drifted her quaking hand absently over the seafoam green of the robe. She felt the frothy ocean shifting over her body, a sunny heat reflected off of it and onto her thin skin, marking it, she thought, with little singed halos. She was breaking open all over and bursting with light. Charlie flickered in the corner like a boat on the sunlit horizon. All right, so that was the story. So now I'm going to read a couple of poems. The first one's called Arachne. The cellar spider, she shimmies down on her invisible thread, her spindly legs weaving as she dances an aerial theater show, outperforming acrobats of Cirque du Soleil. She soars, she stretches, she contorts herself on a slender yet unshakable silk, catching colors as it twirls in the window light. A thing of fear, this arachnid, but Athena knew otherwise, disdained hubris, and punished it, but appreciated skill nonetheless, allowing grace. And this spider now floats aloft to alight in corners, on ceilings, in showers, where translucent drops complement its delicate form. My sister, whose tenacious talent binds her both to penance and to paradise, my warning and my emboldening. So this one is called Pre-Meds and Magic Spells. The second the nurse pushes the Benadryl through my IV, I know I will get nothing done during this hours-long infusion. It reaches my heart, spreads outward through every vessel, and whoomph, my brain is all inertia, my body full of sandbags, and the room floats up around me. I should welcome this enforced lethargy, but I am too accustomed to a world that will not stop. as if she reads this in me. The nurse pushes the solumedrol, and my heart races, my body ablaze for a solid minute at least, infinitesimal droplets of sweat beading, a shock of cold on my skin. And I breathe deep and count 8 in, 8 out, until the drug-induced panic passes and I am heavy again, all 4 feet 11 inches of me sinking, slumping as though I'm Sasquatch, downed by a trank dart, yet foolishly attempting focus on an article on my phone. But I can only scroll with a sluggish thumb, questioning, why aren't you sleeping? Shrugging off the madness of the days. And I say to me, because I've gone mad myself, I think. If I drowse, will I drown in my own lunacy? The mixture of pre-meds readies my body for the entrance of Ocrevus, a name that sounds like some Egyptian god, Ocrevus, destroyer of B cells. The nurse, a priestess, brings me a warm blanket, and I surrender, eyes closing, allowing the MS vanquishing god his miracles through the magic of modern-day pharmaceuticals. And that is all.
Woo! Renee, what like a breadth of pieces you shared with us in like such a short window of time. We got to hear and see and feel so much. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Are you double fiction and poetry, or are you just
sort of?
Yeah,
I love it.
So fiction to begin with, but I'm definitely adding poetry in to this novel. It does have poetry as well as prose. So
fabulous. That's wonderful, Renee. That's wonderful. And, you know, so exciting to have you on. It's your Fumfa Live debut, and we hope to have you back.
To come back. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Renee.
Thank you.
we have a lot of people tonight who are graduating this summer.
I know, this is great.
Man, I just hope they can pull it off on the island. That would be so special for everybody.
Oh, of course. Yes. Oh, and what a pleasure to get to, you know, meet as many people as we can in person really, really soon. Oh, that'd be so cool. We would really love to do an in-person event that we also live stream on the island itself. Oh, it'd be a dream. So stay tuned about that, everyone. But we must welcome our next reader, Brenda Sorrells, our drinking buddy from yesterday. We all were at Nod Hill and we had a fabulous time, and we're so excited to welcome her, our next reader, Brenda Sorrells, our drinking buddy. Brenda, it's got a bit of an echo. And we had a fabulous
turn off the sound or whatever it is that we are hearing.
Brenda, are you also in Facebook, or are you using your phone as well?
I have 2 lines of dialogue going on here.
Okay, close the tab. Close the tab where you have Facebook or the live stream open so that you only have StreamYard.
Oh, okay, close Facebook. Okay, got it.
There we
There we
go.
Oh, God, okay. I'm like going, why always me?
Oh, you driven to madness with double audio.
It's rough being me.
Okay.
Don't worry at all.
Okay.
You are all set, and
we're good.
excited to hear you.
Okay.
And Chris, can you share Brenda's bio with us?
Of course, Brenda's a graduate, our second graduate tonight of Manhattanville College.
Yeah.
New York, and she will be graduating this summer, along with several of the people tonight, with her MFA in creative writing from Fairfield University.
Yay!
Brenda grew up in Fargo, North Dakota, but she has lived her adult life in New York, Los Angeles, Dallas, and Wilton, Connecticut. She is passionate about storytelling, movies, and screenwriting, having just completed her first screenplay called Connecticut Blue as her third project. Brenda has numerous short stories and has 3 novels, including Emma's Way, which is her thesis novel from which she will be reading tonight. Brenda currently lives and writes peacefully. Well, that's good to know, because always happens when we write. But in the woods of Wilton, and enjoys sharing anything about books and writing. You can reach her. Not everybody does this. Puts their their contact out there. Brenda Sorrells 80@gmail.com if you want to write her a nice note on tonight's reading.
Oh, thank you guys.
Get away, Brenda.
Excited
Okay.
to hear you, Brenda.
Thanks. Okay, so I need to write some flash pieces, but this is from Emma's Way, which is the novel that I'm working on now. Because I'm only reading a scene, I'll give you just a little bit of background information. This scene ties up a subplot. So the main story, two grifters come up from Texas to work the harvest in northern Minnesota. And one of them, their names are Brooks Davis and Carlos Martinez. And Carlos goes by Cal and is a soft-spoken Mexican man whose dream has always been to fall in love, to find love. And he finally does find it with an Ojibwa woman on the reservation up there in northern Minnesota. Her name is Abby. So anyway, Cal's kind of broken away from Brooks to live with Abby on the reservation with her and a house full of kids. So Cal gets word that Brooks has died in a mysterious fire accident, and what's left of his body is being held in South Dakota. And the sheriff has agreed to give it up and let Cal come down and pick up the remains of his friend. So Cal gets Abby to go with him. And where I'm going to begin is they've already gotten down there. They're going to start on their way back. So it's winter. Cal drove all night, so he's really tired, and Abby's going to drive back. So here we go. Outside, Cal didn't even notice how the light had changed with the fading sky and the swaying bare tree branches running like veins through luminous pink clouds. They hastened toward the truck. Abby unhinged the tailgate and hopped up, sliding the wooden box forward using both arms. As she removed the lid to receive the remains, a late migrating hawk, sparked by the waning light, flapped its wings and glided overhead. The bird, Abby told Cal, would protect them on their journey home. Cal gently lifted the duffel that contained what was left of his one and only friend inside the pine box as if he were resting a baby in a crib. He helped Abby down, then took her place in the truck bed. Cal placed the lid careful to protect the coffin with a pair of woven Mexican blankets before securing it with leather straps. Jumping off the back end, he was overcome with fatigue. He staggered into the truck's passenger side and pulled the door closed. His lack of sleep had finally caught up with him, but he had also failed to anticipate the depth of his emotions and that he couldn't say what he felt, a confluence of grief and happiness, the paradox of losing Brooks and finding Abby. But when Abby slipped her small frame into the driver's side for the ride home, Cal's chest filled with hope, and he viewed her with adoration. He maneuvered the crocheted pillow infused with her wildflower scent close to his head to buffer himself against the frosty window. Cal let his eyes drop shut, knowing that as long as she was sitting there beside him, he was safe. He allowed himself to drift into a deep, deep sleep. While they were gone, Abby's older kids, under her direction, built a teepee over a family plot in a local burial ground that allowed for the remains of both Christians and Indians. He is a Christian, isn't he? Abby had assumed to Cal, but Cal only shrugged his shoulders, and that had been enough for her. Traveling home was faster and less stressful than the journey outbound. Cal slept almost the entire way, missing an opportunity to bring up to Abby his hopes for sticking around. He wondered if she sensed his brimming heart, the overflow of his feelings. Did she know what she meant to him? How much he appreciated her empathy, her understanding? She had entered Cal's life in a lonely hour, and in their short time together, he had come to love the steady ways of this woman who only seemed to want to give. As it turned out, he didn't have to bring up anything because his devotion, his presence in her life, conveyed more than words ever could. He didn't have to ask to be in Abby's life because he was already there. Cal had never been in love before, but Abby had. She was teaching him the intangibility of love, how it operates on an unearthly plane, and how love between two people either is or isn't. It can't be rationalized or explained. All he had to do was close his eyes and picture Abby's broad, square smile, or feel the gentleness of her hand in his, to know that with them, it was most definitely there. Exhausted from the long drive, it was after midnight when Abby pushed open the front door of her one-level tin-roofed house, and she and Cal walked in. Her 13-year-old son, Zebby, who had been at the teepee most of the day, had just heated a kettle of wild rice soup, and they joined him at the table. When they had finished, Abby and Cal, along with Zebby, drove Brooks's remains over to the graveyard. As they arrived, headlights glaring, two of Abby's older sons, Gideon and Robert, came out to greet them. "Thought you'd never get here," said Robert, holding open the tent flap as Gideon ushered them in. As Cal and Zebby warmed themselves by the fire, Gideon and Robert retrieved the pine box from the back of the truck. Collectively, they decided to free the remains from the ill-suited canvas bag into the hand-built box. The mix of bones and ashes collided with the wood in a dusty cacophony of clicks and clacks. Several of the bones were still intact and jointed, white and smooth, as if they'd been washed over by a fast-moving river instead of scorched by flames. After a moment of silence, Robert set the lid and nailed it. With the three boys gripping the edges of the box, they lowered it into the opening. "We should cover him with dirt now so his spirit can begin its journey," said Gideon. At 18 and pushing 6 feet tall, he was the oldest and used to taking charge. "Are you sure?" Cal shook his head. "Oh, yes," Abby broke in, touching Cal's arm in a measure of reassurance. "Too much time has passed. The spirit of the dead leaves the body after burial, not death. And even then, it takes 4 days to cross over to the happy land. We have plans for a more formal ceremony tomorrow." "And we have food for him here," said Gideon, resting on the handle of his shovel, "as well as a good fire to help him find his way." Abby looked pleased, nodding in approval. "Tomorrow we will pray and honor your friend," she said to Cal. "But for tonight, this is what we must do." Gideon and Cal shoveled dirt from the small surrounding piles into the grave, and when they had finished, Cal bowed his head in a private prayer, one his Catholic mother had taught him as a boy. "Glory be to the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen." He made the sign of the cross and choked back a tear. "Dear Lord Jesus, grant him eternal rest." Cal turned to his companions. "Thank you," he said. "My friend is good now. I can feel it." Outside, a cold moon threw its blue light over the shallow white hayfields across the road. The temperature must have been below zero, but a feeling of warmth and peace, unlike any Cal had ever known, settled over him. He and Abby decided to sleep with the boys in the teepee, and as he lay near her and close to the fire, he reflected on the recent changes that had come upon him, that he never could have foreseen. All he and Brooks had intended to do when they showed up in the Gustafson corridor was spend a few weeks harvesting wheat. Never did Cal imagine that out of all the places they'd ever wandered into, this frigid northern reservation would be the end of the line, and that he would find love, and that Brooks would be buried here. Cal raised on his elbow and glanced at sleeping bodies around him. It occurred to him that if things went right, Abby, these boys, and the other children might someday be his too. In a funny way, it felt as if they already were. The 4-day celebration to help Brooks's spirit transition to the happy land began the following day. Abby and the girls, Meredith, Rosa, Aki, and Chenoa, appeared at dusk with a small group of friends and tribal leaders. Cal and the boys were in the middle of replenishing the fire, and after the embers were stoked and fresh logs piled on, the ceremony began. As they held hands in a circle around the fresh grave, a local medicine man prayed and chanted the songs of their Indian ancestors to the beat of Zebby's small drum. After a while, the group sat on the ground with their knees pulled up toward their chests, the adults passing a ceremonial pipe and offering words of comfort to Cal. When the pipe had made its way around the circle, Abby stood up and broke into a quiet dance, holding her arms up to the west, where the sun always set. For this was the path that Brooks's spirit would take to the hereafter. How beautiful she looked to Cal as she swayed with grace in the yellow glow of the fire, her black hair unleashed and draped down her back like an elegant mantilla. As Cal watched her, he sighed a deep breath of gratitude for the wonderment that had become his life. That's it.
Brenda! Wow! You know, Brenda was summarizing this story for us yesterday, and we were excited. We were captivated. And Brenda, how awesome to hear from it tonight.
It's so hard for a writer. I don't know, other writers probably have this too. It's hard to summarize your own work, you know?
I was
It
captivated.
is.
I was excited, and I'm even more excited to like get in fully to this scene and to this moment. I feel like I already know so much about these characters, and I need to know more. Brenda, you're going to be sending this out right after graduation, maybe?
I hope
Mhm.
so.
Woohoo, Brenda!
Thanks
Mhm.
so
Totally.
much. It was such a blast. It was great seeing you last night too. It was
Yes.
more people have to come out and join us.
Preach it, Brenda.
Yeah, especially if you live around, in Fairfield County or whatever.
That's right.
Yes, heck yes. Even if you're in Westchester, if you're a little bit further away,
Yeah,
if anyone wants to come from a little bit further, we can maybe help facilitate that somehow.
yeah,
It was
definitely.
such a pleasure, such a
It was great.
pleasure.
Super fun.
Yes, thank
Yeah,
you so much, Brenda. Great to see you last night. So
you're
great to hear you
welcome.
tonight.
Thank you guys.
All right. See you next time.
Yes. Oh, we need to hear more from that from her manuscript, Chris. That was awesome.
Definitely. Next time.
Yes. All right. Audience, Brenda was amazing. We have 3 more writers that we're going to hear from tonight, and we are very excited to get to welcome up my dear friend, Megan Muldowney.
Hi, guys.
Woo! This is so exciting. Megan. You know how much Chris and I reference you as just a Fumfa star and my yard house, half yard drinking.
Pretty famous on Instagram, at least.
Yeah, yes, that's right. We're pretty infamous for that.
I didn't say infamous.
Oh, you didn't say infamous? Oh,
Or did I?
famous. Famous.
Famous.
I don't know. Anyways, welcome, Megan. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. How are you?
Great, doing great. Just loving all the readings tonight and excited to hear you. And I have the honor of reading your bio.
Okay.
All right. Megan Muldowney is a lifelong writer and reader, may I add, who counts books among her best friends. She attended Lafayette College, earning a degree in English and anthropology sociology, and completed 2 master's degrees from Fairfield University in communications and creative writing. She has a passion for rock and roll music, her 4 dogs, and the Yankees. She is a full-time writing tutor and is currently at work on her first novel. Megan, take it away.
All right. Well, as predicted, I just finished writing this about 15 minutes ago. So it's hot off the press. It's pretty real. So we'll see how this goes. The name of the poem is Second Person Scratches. Okay, here we go. You grew up seeing the good in everyone, all wide eyes and 6-figure smiles, only ever lived by other people's rules. You were ready to burn down the forest to forge your own path. One stick rubbed against another for agonizing hours until it caught a spark. Breathe in every last flame of those high school hallways. You're out of uniform again, dressed for rock and roll combat, swiped your shoes from the lost and found. The chip on your shoulder has long been embedded into your pale skin. You put your faith in your own broken hands and slip what salvation you can in your pockets. You know how to wear luxury like a glove, but you dream of dive bars and sawdust floors. You were willing to scrape your fingers along the wood just for the splinters. You'd already survived decades in your own mind. Surrender to a life you'd sworn you already lived. Your star was dulled early on, a historic site, a hallowed ground. You made your friends and you made it out. But you thought you were the only suburban teen who wanted to die over a man who was really a boy. Your dreams are infinite, a landscape you cannot conquer, and you realize you're supposed to walk away. But you want all of it. You want flip phones and Friendster and floppy disks. Instead, you consume nostalgia, the bitter disguised in the sweet. Your heart shatters into pieces so fine that you can't pick them off the floor. not when you think about him bringing you a corsage. You kissed him because he listened to you when you cried. He probably remembers your middle name. You can't remember the ending of the book you know you read, but you can still trace every hallway. You're always late to class. You would not change your last name for him, but you want to dial his house phone. Tell him to meet you at a parking lot that no one ever goes to. He still enters your dreams through the front door. He says your name and you were already frozen. He'll be there as soon as he can. He's calm and he's been waiting for your call. The end.
Hot off the press and like absolutely freaking amazing, Megan.
Oh, thank you.
Goosebumps, tears. I'm feeling it. I'm seeing it. Send it out, Megan. Send it out.
Oh,
Wow, whatever's in those baby carrots you were eating earlier.
Right. That was awesome. That was really awesome, Megan. Oh boy, did I feel that one too.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I know. What was in those baby carrots, right? Like,
I don't know. Trying to get better eyesight, I guess.
Wow. I wonder you're here.
She's done this before on our show. Finished a piece like right at the last
I
moment
remember.
and knocked our socks off.
This is the third time I've done that, actually.
Oh my god! I'm sorry. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember at least 2 other times. Yeah, that's right. This is the third.
Third time's the charm.
Megan, that's so awesome. We love you
Thank
so
you.
much. What a
I love you
fabulous
too.
piece. Send it out immediately. No editing needed. It was awesome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you so much, Megan. We hope that you'll be back with us next time as well with another hot off the press amazing piece.
Sure. Bye, guys.
Bye. Bye, Megan. Oh, oops. Banner.
Okay. We'll see Megan at happy hour next time we do that, right? Yes, we will. Yes.
What's that?
We're going to see Megan at happy hour next time.
Yeah. We need to see Megan at happy hour next time. Although we did have green beers this week, so maybe she was a little beard out. I don't know.
Yeah.
But hopefully we will see her next time.
I will. Come on.
And I am so excited to welcome another friend who is married to one of my dearest, oldest friends, Megan Garland. I'm so excited to welcome Matthew Garland. Hey, Matt.
Hello. How are you all?
Good. So good to see you. I miss you guys.
It's been a while.
And I hear because I was asking you especially that we're going to be hearing from your poetry tonight.
Yes. So I just recently self-published a poetry book, poetry collection. So as Katie knows, and I don't know how many other people know, I usually write plays. So I write narrative structure. So this is actually a narrative structure piece. So the poetry book is called Looking Down Upon the World, or The Last Will and Testament of a One Wandering Vagabond.
That's a very cool title, Matt. We love it.
I do my best.
That is so awesome. And if audience, if you remember, we had Matt on as a feature for our for one of our first screenwriter playwright nights, and we're going to have one coming up soon in April as well. So we're excited to hear about Matt's poetry, and we would of course love to have you back for a playwright night, perhaps in the summertime. You know what? I think it is Chris. Will you do the honor of reading Matt's bio? Matt has many credits.
Yes, I'm the bridge version because Matthew has done just so much stuff.
Everything.
And I feel like a kind of just a bum.
What have you done, Chris?
Matthew, well, he's an actor, he's a playwright, a poet, director, podcast host, and composer with many production and publication credits to his name.
Woo!
Here's some acting credits. I'm just going to throw out some titles here: Suburban Holidays 3, 4, 5, and 6, and A Midsummer Night's Dream. An Old Lace, 12th Night, The Breakfast Club, on stage, not the movie, The Tempest, a whole bunch of Shakespeare, all kinds of stuff. And then his playwright credits include Online Dating, which was one-act play, his full-length play Curtain Call, And how do you know a one-act play and just get over it? At Quarantine Players Woods, a full-length play, and again, many more.
Many more credits. You can see all the credits on our Facebook page.
and I literally just finished a production where I produced, directed a one-act play, and 2 of my plays were performed. Actually, it was Online Dating and How Do You Know. Actually, it just closed tonight, so I'm literally just coming from strike from there. So I'm exhausted, but I'm excited.
Well,
congratulations!
You can get some of his stuff on Amazon.com. Matthew Garland. Just look from, and he currently is also hosting his own podcast called
That is doing it all.
Movies, music, and theater. And find that at all the usual places, I believe. And without further ado, Matthew Garland.
Take it away.
So this will be the first poem from the book. So this is the prologue, which is titled "A Word of Wisdom to the Reader." Born to a wasteland with no light, I grew up upon a small island in the sky. No one came to see me, and no one knew when I was born or when I did die. There are stories that are told, there are songs to be sung, there are tall tales that exist about when I was young. So what are you looking for? The dawn is just beginning, with the sun climbing up that hill. We have a whole day to ourselves. At the end, I'll be here still. There's so much hate and anger, I don't see how to tell a story. I know you are looking for hope, but the ends of the earth has no glory. So what are you looking for? I have dreamed so long for a purpose in life. I know that I have a history of not deciding. I think it's time to come out of the woods. I think it's time to stop hiding. So you come to see me when all has failed, thinking that I can give you the answers you need. I once did what you did and looked for hope, but I did too much to try to lead. But I will tell you a story you never heard. It might have elements you know by heart. It's a tale about a boy who knew nothing. That's actually a good place to start. So what was I looking for? And I will also quickly read the last poem in here. And one thing I should say is this poetry book is dedicated to my grandmother, Mary Pomfrey, and my good friend, Steph LeBaris, who is an illustrator out in LA. This one is called, this is the title track, I want to say, Looking Down Upon the World. What I see looking down upon the world, there is truly something glorious to see. When things in the center do not hold, where on earth could they be? There are prices for fame and fortune, but there are costs for it as well. You spend your time reaching for the stars, but then spend your life dwelling in hell. The nights are darker than they seem, but the days are darker than sin. When the road you are following ends, where does the new road begin? People seem to think we need an ending, but it's just a waste of time. This is just a chapter in our history and a printout of all our crimes. I look into the glass I am holding. I dream of the life I could have led, but then I dream of the life I will have once I'm over being dead. So there is a flower in the garden. It may be small, but it's starting to grow. There is sunshine out in the distance and grass under all that snow. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is strength that will help us cope. I will look down upon the world, and what I see is hope. Thank you very much.
Woo! Gorgeous! Gorgeous! gorgeous,
Wow.
Matt. You
And,
know,
and that's the last poem.
yes.
The last poem. So that's a great. That's a nice way to end it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So find out what happens in the middle.
Yes. Go out there and get it on Amazon
Right, yeah.
now,
It
folks.
does have a loose
That was
narrative, and it does follow a character, as it were. So there is stuff in the middle. Yeah.
Cool.
there certainly is, and I remember you shared with me many pieces where the manuscript as it was a while back, and it was so wonderful to read it. And there's kind of this tone of fantasy and this journey, this kind of internal and external journey,
Mhm.
and I love it. It's spiritual. It's related to romance and these different struggles with reality. I absolutely love it, and it is so awesome to get to hear it read in its final version and in your voice, Matt. Really beautiful pieces, really powerful pieces, and like inspiring and uplifting, especially in these two. I know that there are maybe some darker ones in there too, but so awesome to hear.
Very dark. It's very, very dark. And in a couple of years I may do an audiobook, but we'll see.
I hope you do. That's awesome. Well, we will be in touch, Matt. We hope to have you back on really soon to share poetry and or
Absolutely.
your playwriting.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Thank
Thank
you
you
very
so
much.
much, Matt. Say hi to Megan for me. And Benjamin.
Of course.
All
Have
right.
a good night.
Bye-bye.
Right.
How awesome. Just so cool to have so many wonderful friends on here and to hear so much incredible writing. And you know what? We have one last amazing guest to welcome tonight. Last, but certainly not least, our dearest friend with perhaps the most MFAs so far. We've got Phil Lemos. How are you, Phil?
I'm doing good. How are you?
So good. And it's always good to see you, Phil. We need to get you down here for one of our happy hours. Either that or we need to come up to you.
Yeah, let me know next time you're having one. I'd be down for it.
Yay! That'll be the best. That'll be the best. I love that so much. All right, Phil, let me share your bio with our audience here. Phil Lemos has too many MFAs. You can't have too many, but we're so proud of Phil. That is so awesome. When he's not teaching freshman composition or creative writing, he's lugging pallets around retail purgatory, or writing about all the crazy jobs he's had as an adult. A bunch of people are asking him when he's going to finish the revisions on his novel in progress, and we are so curious about that too. We love it, and will we be hearing from it tonight or something different?
No, I'm actually going to be. I just found out I had a short story accepted.
Oh my God, congratulations!
Yay.
So I'm going to be reading from that.
Excellent.
It's too long to read the whole thing, but if I read the first 1/3 of it, that should be about within the 5 to 7 minute range. And it's kind of a nice stopping point too. So
well, and you'll just need to share that link with us and or the publication, and everyone will just need to go finish reading it on their own, right?
Yeah, I don't know exactly when it's running yet.
Okay.
Out, but when it is, I'll definitely blast
Please
it.
do. That'll be perfect, Phil. All right, take it away.
All right. So that's really all the introduction I need. I'm just going to start at the beginning, and we're going to read like the first 4 pages of it, and then we'll go from there. It was the easiest job I'd ever had, and I was terrible at it. I'd drive to a supermarket late at night, find the unused shopping carts, pull out an old advertisement from the cart frame, Triscuits or Coca-Cola or Hellman's mayonnaise. Then I'd grab a shiny new ad, slide it into the frame, repeat. Pull and slide, pull and slide. My route consisted of about a dozen supermarkets. It took a couple of hours to swap out ads at each store. Every 4 weeks, a new cycle began. I always wondered if customers even paid attention to these ads. I sure didn't. I've always been a grab-and-go shopper, ignoring Goya's highly colored cart propaganda screaming for me to buy chickpeas. But food companies love to advertise, to spend money to make money. So for years, I kept pulling and sliding. I'd been out of work for about a year and a half, and I'd exhausted my unemployment benefits. I was scared to look at my bank account online. I struck out at job interviews for online ad sales and with a rent-to-own retail shop. I knew I was desperate when I found myself looking for jobs on Craigslist. There, I stumbled upon a job posting where the only requirements were a driver's license, reliable transportation, and a computer. 5 hours after responding to the post, I received an email with an application attached. Once I sent it back, another email ordered me to show up for an interview at the Price Chopper supermarket and to look for someone with glasses and a name badge that says shopping cart cat. I underestimated how long it'd take to find this supermarket. When I pulled into the parking lot at the Chopper 5 minutes late, I thought my poor planning had already cost me the job. As I scurried towards the front entrance, I resigned myself to more Craigslist searches when somebody jolted me out of my panic. "Are you Scott?" she asked. She was wearing a name badge from Ad America Marketing that said shopping cart cat, standing with another new prospective hire named Rayanne, who'd had the good sense to arrive on time. Kat went over Ad America's expectations for us. Most importantly, how to install the ads. Kat showed us how to do it and then handed us a few ads to try. Rayanne pulled and slid like she'd been doing this for years. I struggled. I can't even change a tire. I almost failed woodshop class in middle school. And every time I tried to jam the ads into these frames, they fell into the carriage. This wasn't just a learning curve, it was a learning parabola. Eventually, with some extra coaching by Kat and Rayanne, I got the hang of it. Kat assigned me a route of 12 stores, Stop and Shops, Shaw's, and Price Chopper supermarkets in the Worcester area. Not a great paying job, a dime above minimum wage, but brainless work. And it was something. I needed something. I wasn't sure I could pay June rent. The day after my meeting with Kat, Price Chopper called me. A few weeks earlier, I'd filled out a generic application with the Chopper. Someone named Paige informed me that they were opening a new store in Hopkinton and looking to hire for all departments. After going over my resume, they offered me a full-time job with them as a front-end supervisor, overseeing the cashiers and keeping the checkout lines running smoothly. In the span of 48 hours, I'd secured one part-time and one full-time job. I took them both because I had to. Even a supervisory position at the Chopper paid only $1 above minimum wage. A few days later, I found myself at Price Chopper orientation, listening to Paige discuss the do's and don'ts of working for them. One of the don'ts she described was moonlighting for another company that Price Chopper has a third-party relationship with, which was a conflict of interest. I asked myself, would this force me to quit Ad America before I even began? Then I put it out of my mind. The Hopkinton Chopper wasn't part of my route. I was only assigned 2 choppers, one in Worcester, the other in Marlborough. I was jolted from my internal strategy session when Paige informed me that until the Hopkinton store opens, I'd be training for a month in Marlborough. Shit. If I had to, I'd give up Ad America because it's only part-time, but I really needed both jobs. I was determined to find a way to make this work. I had to get through one ad change cycle during my month-long training in Marlborough. I swapped out the ads at Marlborough at 2 a.m. because it was open 24 hours. Perfect. Nobody really knew me yet, except for Ashley, Marlborough's no-nonsense front-end supervisor. I managed to stay on her good side, which was important because Ashley was ex-Air Force and she didn't take shit from anyone. Supposedly, the store had recently busted a bad check cashing scheme because of Ashley's hawk-like observation of the perp's behavior. Luckily, Ashley didn't work overnights. By 4 a.m., the sun was peeking over the horizon, and I was in my car, screeching out of the parking lot as if I'd robbed a bank. A couple nights later, I headed over to the Worcester store, also open 24 hours. At this store, the carts were kept in a cramped outdoor vestibule, and I had to perform cart gymnastics to reach the way back carriages. By 3:30 a.m., I was almost finished, working in the back, when a voice startled me. "What are you doing?" I looked up to see Ashley, staring at me like I was trying to pass a bad check at register 12. There was no easy explanation for what I was doing. After a few awkward moments, I decided the best course of action was to tell enough of the truth without putting either of my jobs at risk. "I'm swapping out the ads," I said. I could sense the wheels churning in Ashley's head. Is Scott really swapping out ads, or is this some sort of sketchy criminal enterprise? "So you work at this store too?" she asked. "Yeah, it wasn't a lie, although I worked for this Price Chopper for Ad America, not Price Chopper." After a few beats, Ashley said, "Makes sense. They've always had a tough time staffing this store, and then you get more hours." I tried to misdirect. "So do you work at the store too?" "No, but I live right up the street. So if I find myself needing something late at night, it's convenient. I'm out of milk." "Gotta have your milk," I said. I hate milk. "See," Ashley said, "you get it. Well, I'll see you tomorrow." I dodged a bullet. By the next ad change cycle, I'd be working in Hopkinton. It would have been awkward checking in with Ashley every month to ask if she was low on milk. All right, I'm going to stop there. Thank you, everybody.
Phil! We're trying to hear more. It was hilarious. Too good. Too good. Ex-Air Force Ashley. That's too good.
Oh my God, Phil! You know the your stories about the retail life or the life behind the scenes of these places. I mean, it's so necessary. You know,
So good.
not enough of this stuff.
It's so true. It's so good. It's so necessary. It's like painful. It's poignant. It's hilarious. And it's just so excellent, Phil. We love to hear from you. We love to hear your stories, your essays. We love to hear from your novel. And you always have a fabulous sense of humor within that. This is just a total pleasure. Thank you so much, Phil.
And congratulations on the story.
Yeah, thanks.
Good for you, man.
Big congratulations. And we need to know what happens. So as soon as that comes out,
Yeah,
let us know.
put it out there.
Totally.
Thanks, Phil.
Yes, thank you so much, Phil. And hopefully we'll see you at a happy hour soon and perhaps on the island on Alumni Day.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
That'd be nice.
See you, Phil. What an awesome evening of readings, Chris. What an incredible evening of readings, audience, right?
Totally incredible. And you know what? I mean, we came in like on time.
We did.
I mean, these people are like professionals. They're like they go in there and they do their job and they move on. And I love that.
Heck yes. Well, and they are professionals. Everybody, just the multitude of incredible credits among our 9 readers tonight is just mind-blowing. And what an awesome treat to get to hear from so many different writers and their perspectives and their different genres and what they're focusing on right now. It's always just such a treat to get to do these. So one more time, a round of applause for Bob Howe, Alexis Garcia, Derek Ivan Webster, Meg Moore, Renee Newberry, Brenda Sorrells, Megan Muldowney, Matthew Garland, and Phil Lemos. And what a great show to have before our 2-year anniversary next week. It just kind of, what an extra wonderful community feeling leading up to that, right?
And I hope everybody tunes in next week and helps us celebrate. I mean, 2 years, it's something else. So
this is pretty special.
we have 200. I don't know. I have to count them again. Like 200 plus writers that we've had on over the course of 2 years.
Amazing.
It is incredible. So we'll see you then, everybody.
Yes, we will see you then next Sunday night and hope you have a wonderful week. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much for watching.
Peace.